This has been Buster Roy by Watch Review Budget Movies for you. Today's movie, it takes the deep sea predator of the shark and forces it with zombies. No, we're not talking about zombie sharks. We're talking about sharks that can not only swim, but they can also fly? Question mark? And the zombies that control them. We're talking about sky sharks. You heard it right. Zombies and sharks. Nazi zombies and flying sharks. What more could you ask for? As always, I'm going to give you my thoughts and my ratings on this movie. First of all, to set the name straight. Yes, we're talking about sharks, but in World War II, bomber planes and fighter planes were called sky sharks because they were painted gray and had this shark face printed on it. So it looked like a shark flying through the sky. That's where the name comes from. Sky sharks. You look at an airplane with the wings spread and the fin in the back, it looks kind of like a shark. Thus, sky sharks. Again. So when this movie opens up, we see an airplane with a bunch of people, from a priest to a nun to a father and daughter. They are flying on this air, and the little girl's scared, so she looks out the window, thinks she sees a shark. Her dad's like, "Oh no, that's not real." And then all of a sudden, Mad Max style, all these sharks with their riders come through right towards the plane, and then they shoot a blast right into the plane and form a swastika. So now we know these are Nazis. These are Nazis flying sharks. And as they land on the plane, we see it's a zombie, and then they start just taking knives out and just cutting and killing everything in that airplane. To the point where even some of the flight attendants become zombies because of being bit and everything. So that happens. It's a bloodbath on board. It's actually worth setting the tone for what you're going to get in this movie. Then we see, a little bit after that, we see this warship. And we find out that this warship's a science cell for the Nazis, where there's still undead zombies here. I'll explain that in a little moment of what these undead zombies really are. And we see sharks in the tank. They take this woman and they drop her in there, the sharks eat it. So we find out this is where they breed the sharks for flying. And then they put mechanics on them, because if you see closely on here, if you take a look at the sharks on the box, you actually see that there is mechanics on them to help them control and fly, which is really weird that a sea-based creature can live up in space, live up in the sky, and do all this. So the zombies are, and then we see in this room the zombies are hanging there. It looks like they're being reprogrammed, or they're being charged, kind of like the Borg Collective in Star Wars, how they just stand there and just like that. Yeah, we kind of see that. It's kind of a homage to Star Trek. I kind of like that. The ship sinks and then disappears, so we think everything's done. Then we're introduced to the Richter family. We see that old man Richter is injecting himself with something, and then you see his spine start glowing. So he has some mechanics on his spine. Maybe he got in an injury, you think, first. But then we later come that he's injected himself with the K-77B serum, which makes these undead zombies. Okay, let's explain what these zombies are right now. Nazi Germany, World War II. They wanted to experiment with creating super soldiers. So they created a serum called the K-7B, which is a serum that makes tissue regeneration. So if a soldier would die, he would regenerate as an undead killing machine. Yes, in this movie, this is what happens in Nazi Germany. Made so that the soldiers become undead super soldiers, and then they found a way to harness flying sharks. That way, the Nazis would be unstoppable. And during the course of the ship, one of the Richter daughters gets bit by a zombie, ends up becoming a zombie, but we see her in a scene later, and it kind of deteriorates on her, so she kind of controls it. We find out later that Richter had some hand in this, that his serum does that, and the mechanics on his back help him not become a zombie. So that's a good thing. And then we figure out, that we learn he knows the antidote, because the Americans made dead flesh their own project of super soldiers to create their own super soldiers like this. It just didn't work out. And then we see all this stuff there going towards trying to destroy the sharks. Richter says he could do it himself. So they have made a flying megalodon. Seriously, flying megalodon. Richter controls it via computer. And then with everything else, it's amazing because that happens, and he's sitting there with guns and he's shooting everything. He's controlling it from there, and we find out that he can control because of the implants he has in him to help control the zombie thing. And throughout the course of it, we find out this happens. The world's saved from Nazi zombies and flying sharks. Yes, this gory bloodbath, and Tony Todd has one of the best lines on the sea. He plays a general, you know, Candyman. He plays a general in here. This is one of the best lines in here. It's raining fucking barbecue catfish. When they destroyed the shark, it all came down. So he calls it catfish. It's raining barbecue catfish. That's a perfect line for him. What do I give this movie? It's not an Oscar-worthy movie. It's not. It's worth the $5 that I paid for it in the bin that I found it in. I give it 2.5 stars. It's a middle-of-the-road movie. It's kind of cheesy at times, but it also kind of intrigues you and kind of interests you. At the same time, you're like, oh, wait, zombies, sharks, what more could you ask for? Just remember, we didn't play God. We were gods. That's a tagline right in the back right here. So, if you're in those Walmart bins and you're looking through movie for a movie night, find Sky Sharks. You might just have a great time making that a movie night. And always remember, I'm Grannon, this has been Buster. Make it a movie night. And dive right in.